tuning into the CT Racer X repair channel. I'm going to be changing oil today in a 2009 Audi TT. This is the same for the Audis, the Volkswagens, and virtually anything with a 2-liter Volkswagen turbo. As with all repairs in which you're going to be lifting the car up, make sure you got the e-brake on, because you don't want this car to roll backwards on you. That will not be fun. I promise it will ruin your day. So first things first, pull up the e-brake, make sure that's nice and locked, make sure the car is in park. All right, if it's a manual transmission, make sure it's in gear. And like all repairs where you're going to be lifting the car up using a jack, ensure that you're using jack stands. You don't want the car to fall on you, as I'm sure that will probably ruin your day and probably ruin your driveway. When jacking up the Audi TT, make sure that you slide your jack underneath the jack point. The jack point's located right here, kind of a rough plasticky piece. Be very sure when you're putting your jack on here that you're centering the jack near the jack point. You don't want to damage your side skirt, because you will in fact rip it off the car if you don't do this correctly. Once you have your vehicle safely off the ground using a jack stand, make sure that the vehicle will have a place to sit. Make sure that it's not resting solely on the jack, but also on the jack stand itself, on a solid piece of the car's suspension. I'm using the back half of the control arm, which is conveniently the same diameter as the crook on my jack stand. Now that you got your car up on jack stands, now it's time to work on it and change the oil. In this case, you want to check a look at your oil dipstick location, right? Ensure that your dipstick has the O-ring on it and the clips, because you want to make sure that this is not creating a vacuum leak, or you will get a check engine light. Same goes for your oil filling location, the oil filling cap here. You're going to twist that off here, right, and you take it off. Make sure that it hasn't been pulled off, because if you notice, sometimes these guys will have a separation on the top, and it does create a vacuum leak. A vacuum leak will cause a check engine light. Okay, now that we got the car up in the air and it's safe to work underneath it, go ahead and you're going to go ahead and change the oil filter first. I prefer to in this particular car because they're just a real pain in the rear end to get to. First things first, you're going to take this little cap off. Once you have the cap off of the car, I'm going to clean mine up because it's filthy now. You want to get yourself an oil bleed tube, okay? I get these when I change the Toyotas, the ones that have a filter cartridge. So yeah, just go ahead and slip that into place there, and then it should allow the system to bleed oil off. As you can see, I'm bleeding off oil. Make sure you have your catch at the bottom, because again, this gets real messy if you don't have a catch, okay? Using a 36mm socket, or in my case, a 1/7/16 socket, you should now be able to take off the oil filter housing, okay? Just gonna put it on using a wrench or what have you. I'm using a socket wrench, a 1/2-inch driver socket wrench. Just go ahead and pop that bad boy off, and booyah, you're in business. Now you're ready to access the oil filler, oil filter, okay? Just go ahead and twist that guy off like so. If you've drained off the oil, at this point, you should have no oil dripping anywhere. But be very careful when you're taking the housing off, because there still may be some latent oil in the bottom, and you do not want to wear that oil. It's going to be pretty gross. And there you have it. And boom goes the dynamite. Now that you have your oil filter housing off of the car, it's time to inspect it. Make sure it's not cracked or damaged or broken, okay? Because you don't want to put the filter back on the car and then you have a leak because there was a crack you didn't see. So inspect this, make sure there's no cracks. Then you're going to pull the gasket out of the inside of this, discard it. You have to change this gasket every time. Some people might argue and say you don't have to. Those are also the people that probably don't have to rely on the car. So change the gasket. You'll get a new one in your oil filter box housing. I'm using a MicroGuard oil filter. It's a 57-187 filter. I know some people have said, Alfred, you should use Hengst. I'm saying no. I like to use what I can readily get my hands on. And because I change the oil every 3,000 miles, it really doesn't matter. So you put your filter Put your housing gasket back in, then you put your new cartridge filter in the center of here, slips on like so, right into place, okay? Then when you got it all ready, you're gonna thread this back onto the oil filter housing location, no more than 25 Newton meters. I like to use it with a German accent when I say that because it's more fun. 25 Newton meters. I guess that was more like a French accent. You know what? I'm gonna stick to doing my repairs because I suck at accents. To put the filter housing back on the car, so I've threaded it on by hand, and now I'm getting ready to tighten it up. Again, want to make sure you don't do this any more than 25 Newton meters. What does 25 Newton meters look like? I don't freaking know. I just put it on there hand tight, maybe give it a couple of little quarter cranks, like I'd say 1/4 crank after you get it on there. All right, that's good and tight. That's not going to leak. All right. Also make sure that it's fully attached up here, that there's no gaps up there, because again, it'll leak when it pressurizes. The other thing you want to do is put your little cap back on the bottom of this, okay? Little drain filter cap. Just go ahead and thread that back on by hand. And now we're ready to take the oil out of the pan. Good job. Now it is time to take the oil drain plug out. Now, I personally like to use a good old magnet to take this drain pan bung out because I don't like getting dirty. All right, so I'm gonna stick my magnet on here and come out and pull the friggin' thing out of there. When this oil comes out, it's gonna come out with some fury. So ensure that, you know, if you're like me and you don't want to be filthy, that you've got some means to ensure that that is going to be a dirty-free process. All right, now that you got the oil completely drained, you're going to put your oil drain plug, back in the bottom of the oil pan. Don't rely on doing this finger tight because, well, it would be a bad idea. So in this case, you get your 19mm wrench that you used to take the thing off with originally, this guy right here, and you're going to put it back in place, okay? Just like so. Just get that guy on there and put it on there about so, okay? And that should get you squared away. Now we're ready to put oil inside this guy. Okay, it's time to put the oil in the Audi. So I'm using Mobil 1 0W40. All right, I've got to use 4.7 quarts. So I've got this all squared away. Rip off the cap, obviously, as you know. And then a little secret that I was once taught in Vietnam, punch holes in this canister like this. What it's going to do is help the oil not blurp itself all over the inside of your car. Okay, so we're squared away. Take the cap off this guy. I'm going to put it in like so. Okay. Now, on the back side of this will tell you how many quarts you got going on here. Really, in order to determine how much quarts you've used or how many you have left, you're going to have to hold this square. Since most people are not able to do that by hand, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and set it on a level surface. And then take a look at the can. All right? Right about here, it's 4.75. Gotcha? But of course, after you've gotten it all drained inside of the motor, what you want to do, make sure everything's clear. You're not going to drip oil anywhere. Like I said, I don't like being filthy. You're going to go ahead and cinch up your oil dipstick. Take the funnel out. Got that sat on a rag. Put your cap back on here. And make sure that's squared up. And then you're going to fire up the car. Okay, we fired up the motor. Everything sounds good. There were no odd noises. So now it's time to check our oil level. So go ahead and pull your dipstick out. Make sure that the dipstick reads clear first, so you get an idea and ensure that it is in fact clean. Okay, you got to slide that guy down inside the motor, like so. Put it in there, and check it out and see what it says. Mine says full. See? All right. Now put that guy back inside the motor. And that is how we change the oil in a 2007 through 2012 Audi TT or any Volkswagen automobile with the engine code BPY, which is a 2-liter turbo motor. Okay? Good luck on your repairs. Alright, so you got through watching me do a fantastic job at changing oil in a 2009 Audi TT with the engine code BPY. As I said, this is the same engine oil change process for the 2007 all the way through 2012 Audi TTs with the BPY engine code. I believe this is also going to be the same for the TSI motors, which is a different engine code, and the TFSI motor, which also has a different engine code. If you have any questions, definitely shoot them in the comment section below. If you like it, hit the thumbs up like button. I do appreciate likes because they make the world go round. If you like the content, definitely subscribe. I would love to have some subscribers, and if you have some ideas for videos, also put them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.